It's 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. It's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. Although I got to be honest, man, weekly is not a phrase I was going to use for us for a while here.
I know, yeah. It's mainly on my side. Just my life has been a little bit upside down.
Well, it
So
feels
I'm
like you
glad.
were on Death's Door for a while.
No, I mean that's a little dramatic, but yeah, it was rough. I mean, let's see. So I went from taking care of my folks in Utah after the car accident and trying to get them back up to speed. And that was about a good 6 weeks. Then came back to LA. And then we did one stream when I got back, and everything was
One
great.
stream, yeah.
And then boom, I just got hit. Like I think my body just crashed. And then I was sick, and I'm now in my third week, but I'm pretty much recovered. You might hear a little bit of a difference in my voice slightly, but
Hmm.
compared to where I was at even a week and a half ago, where I was coughing every night and every day, it is literally night and day now.
Hmm.
Yeah, so yeah, I think you're. I think yeah, our cadence could be off as far as saying weekly Calamity Jane stream because I have been sick like crazy.
Well, and then
The
I
past little
canceled
while.
last week because it was 4th of July weekend, and I was just
Hmm.
booked up for 4 straight days. I
Yeah,
went to a different party for 4 straight days.
yeah.
Um,
So while I'm coughing and hacking, you were living it up.
I
You're
was
living
living
the
it
high
up.
life.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I was
That's
just
good. At least one of us is having fun. That's
partying
good.
like it was 1999 or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's good. But hopefully now I think things have settled down. I mean, I'm I'm back in LA and I've got my rig and like I was gonna do my stuff on my iPad, but like, I was thinking like, I should go back to my old mothership rig and do something on here for tonight
Hmm.
and hang out and we'll talk about what we always do, which is random pop culture kind of stuff, and then getting into really small, weird, esoteric, niche kind of stuff. I don't know where we're gonna go tonight, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I've got two things on my mind. One of them we were chatting about right before the stream started. Sorry, I'm just petting my dog.
Mhm.
The other one we mentioned briefly, or we talked about, you and I talked about briefly over the weekend. Street Fighter 6 and Asteroid City.
Okay.
Yeah, those are
All
those are the
right.
two things on my mind. So if you've got something that
Let's.
supersedes those two
No,
things,
those are fun things to talk about. I
okay.
mean,
Well,
although I haven't.
let's.
Yeah, I'll set up where I'm gonna draw tonight, and then we'll roll into just talking about whatever. So
Yeah, yeah.
I will share my screen. Share. So for tonight, I'm gonna do this pose of Calamity where she's just reacted to getting pushed over. It's in
Hmm.
Act One. So I'll be, kind of doing the usual stuff. I'll be grabbing some assets that I've already kind of pre-built and try to build that pose out
Okay,
for Calamity tonight as we talk.
love
So
it. I'm ready.
where
I'm
we're
ready for it.
that's where we're at. So meanwhile, yeah, which way do you want to go? Because it's kind of funny. We talked about Street Fighter 6 a little bit on our last stream, which was
Yeah.
again, it was like eons ago, but
Yeah, but that
two,
was just
three
the
weeks ago.
demo, and
Hmm.
this is the problem. Like sometimes, I mean, this is the risk you take with demos, and this is a bit of an aside, but you know, I'll download a demo. I'll play most demos honestly,
Hmm.
and 9 times out of 10, though, when I'm playing a demo, I'll finish and go, yeah, I don't need this game, right? Like it's like, yeah, I get it. I don't. I'm never gonna play this again.
Hmm.
But there were two demos that I've played recently where I'm like, okay, well, now I gotta buy this stupid game. It was Street Fighter 6 and Pikmin 4. And I played the Street Fighter 6 demo, and I'm like, I want this game so bad. I'm gonna try to wait for it to go on sale, and I just couldn't. I was like just jonesing for Street Fighter. I didn't particularly care for Street Fighter 5 that much. I know on the last stream we talked about it, and I just didn't really care for the
Hmm.
V trigger system that much.
Hmm.
And we can go
Hmm.
into all the technical details of all that stuff, um, but I bought Street Fighter 6, and it is just delightful. I mean, it is. I don't know. I've only played it for about 15 hours at this point, and I put hundreds of hours into Street Fighter 4. Never got good at it, but I still played the crap out of it.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm just digging it. There's so much in the game out of the box. I mean, they've got the entire Pokemon RPG that we talked about. They've got the classic story mode, which they've really done a lot of really cool quality of life improvements on. All of the characters are available right from the start, so you don't have to do any sort of arbitrary hoop jumping to unlock characters that you want to play as. They've got not only do they have the classic combo trial system, which was introduced in Street Fighter 4 and has been a fundamental element of not just Street Fighter but basically all fighting games since then because it was so brilliant. But they also have just like character tutorials where it just takes you through, here's the strength of the character, here's how you use their command normals, here's how you do this, here's how you do that. And you just, it's like a reference point, which I've gone back through. There's two characters that I really like that I'm learning right now and will be terrible with, but will nonetheless enjoy playing as them. But, so you've got all of that stuff. You've got the online mode, which is unbelievably comprehensive. I mean, it's just I've like I said, I've bounced around for about 15 hours, and half of that time has been playing the RPG mode, but the other half has just been playing sort of the traditional Street Fighter, that everybody knows and loves. It's great. I mean, I really just I'll never be good at it, but it's the best Street Fighter's been since Street Fighter 4.
That's saying a lot. I mean, I'm kind of with you on this one. I really enjoy Street Fighter 4. I did download the Street Fighter 6 demo after we last talked. We touched on it last time. I played a couple of versus rounds against the computer with Ryu versus Luke.
Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, and it was fun. It was fine. And then I just I stopped. I kind of just looked around in the menus and stuff like that. I thought it was a really polished and slick game. But I didn't do world mode. But a lot of people, not just yourself, a lot of people love that world mode. They think it's kind of the game changer for the franchise.
It's just,
kind of
it is so clever. It's so fun and it's so silly, and they do such a good job of balancing it so that even a scrub like me feels like they're good at the game, right? Now, the only, and this isn't a positive or a negative, this is just I've been playing Street Fighter since I was 11 years old, I think, is when Street Fighter 2 came out, 92. Jesus, I'm so old. Anyway,
then that makes me even older.
It makes you like, well, you're only like what, 3 years older than me. So
no, I've got to be way. I'm older than I definitely earned the ER. And
you're
older.
What, 45, 46?
No, I'm 49 now.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And you're young.
I just turned 42. Yeah.
Okay.
So you're 7 years older than me? Wow.
Yeah.
That blows
my mind. You're definitely the more mature one out of us both. So mentally in that aspect, you're definitely older than me in that regard.
Yeah. Well.
But as far as Earth years are concerned, I've been on the planet a little longer than you.
Wow.
That's about it.
You look good for your age, old man.
Oh, thank you. And so same with you. So hey, let's pat each other on the back.
Pat each other. Yes, I'll drink to that. Anyway, yeah. So I was 11, I think, when the first Street Fighter came out. You were, God, 18. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, you were old enough to be drafted when the first Street Fighter 2 came out.
I didn't even realize it was that. I felt like I was a teenager when I felt like I was a teenager. I didn't know it was 18.
Maybe it was 91, but it was 91 or 92.
Okay.
Fighter 2
yeah.
Release date.
Yeah.
91. It was 91. I was off by a year.
Okay.
So you were 17 and I was 10.
I was 17, 17-ish, yeah.
Yeah. You were 17-ish and I was 10-ish.
I was able to drive myself to the arcades and then put my quarter up on the arcade boxes and just kind of wait my turn.
Yeah.
I was able to do that. So, yeah.
And so I've been playing Street Fighter for a majority of my life. Never got good at it. Like, I'm not Daigo, I'm not Justin Wong, but we were talking about this offline. I mean, I can watch them play Street Fighter and know exactly what they're doing. But you put me in front of a stick, or maybe control. I use a stick generally, but and I can't replicate that. I don't know what it is. I've got like this mental. There's so much that you have to memorize and practice, and it's just I've got this self-imposed glass ceiling that always just keeps me at the scrub level. Anyway, the only thing that was a really long aside to get back to what my original point was. They've got this new thing, and it's not a positive or negative. It's called the modern controls. And it fundamentally changes how you play Street Fighter, right? Classic Street Fighter, as everybody knows, light, medium, hard punches and kicks. Starting with Street Fighter 4, double light punches throw, and then double medium and double hard punches do different things depending on the game that you're playing. Modern controls flip that entirely on its heels, and at a very very basic level, it's very similar to Marvel vs. Capcom controls, starting with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, where you just had light, medium, hard attack plus special, and then how you combine those two. So MVC, like, whereas Street Fighter is very much about the technical side of it. So you have chain combos, but your best combos are going to be like using link combos, which are attacks that you use while you've put a character into a stun state, but you don't get the attack for free. You have to get the timing right? A chain combo, you get all the attacks for free. Once you've hit confirm the first hit, then you get the rest of the attacks for free, right?
Okay.
As long as you do the input correctly. Marvel vs. Capcom is basically all about chains. So there are a few link combos, but those, generally speaking, come into when you're juggling characters into the air. Most of the fancy combos that you'll see in MVC are chains, right? So in MVC 2, you had light, hard, and then two different specials. Like, no, you had oh man, my memory is so faded now. It's not strictly light, hard. It's like light, uppercut, and then anyway, it's a 6-button game, but the controls are wonky. And then with MVC 3, they simplified it, so it's just light, hard, light, medium, hard, and launcher or special. I don't remember. I think the fourth button is launcher.
Okay.
Anyway, so it's along those lines where in Street Fighter 6 modern controls you've got light, medium, hard, special, but then if you press one of the shoulder buttons, it changes what the button mappings are, and you can press one button and you'll like mash it. If you hold right trigger and then mash light attack, you'll do one set of chain combos or something like that. Or if you hold right bumper and press the special button, it automatically executes a super attack or things like that. It's still complicated.
Okay, so let me pause there. So you just mentioned that's for modern controls now for Street Fighter 6. That's how they're doing things.
Yeah.
So when I was, and again, I'm 100% noob with Street Fighter 6, but I did try modern controls with Ryu versus Luke and Versus, and I just noticed that anytime I just hit a button, if I was far enough away, it would do the Hadouken. Like he would just, or he'd just do that. If I got closer, then it would do a different attack. But I wasn't doing anything with an RB or anything. I was just tapping a button and it was just doing it for me.
You'll do different things depending on what shoulder button you have pressed down. And I haven't spent enough time with it to really get used to it. Because frankly, I started playing and I'm like, oh, this is a whole different game. It's a whole different game.
Yeah.
And I frankly didn't want to learn the mechanics of a whole different game, right?
So
I just went back to it's easier to look cool with modern controls. Although, I mean, if you're a scrub like me, it doesn't matter if you're playing modern controls or classic controls. Someone who's better than you is still going to beat you, right? Regardless of their control scheme. So basically, I was like, well, I'm just going to go to classic controls because I just don't want to learn an entirely new set of mechanics for a fighting game, right? As bad as I am in Street Fighter, at least with classic controls, I understand the mechanics.
You know the basics of
exactly.
You know, do stuff,
exactly. And so I went back to classic controls, and so that is, man, this was 13 minutes in, and we're finally getting to my final point. That's my biggest complaint about Street Fighter 6. It's not the modern controls themselves. I think it's great that they're trying to make it, because it's intended to make the game a little bit more accessible to new players, or at least give players a different way of approaching the game, right? Make it a little less technical, make it a little bit more forgiving for button mashers and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
My problem with the with the way that the game holistically is implemented is, especially when you go into World Tour mode, you are forced to go through the entire tutorial using modern controls, and you can't change the classic controls until you finish like the first 2 missions. So it was super frustrating as someone who's like, I tried modern controls, I don't like it, I just want to use classic controls. I don't care.
And then you're just forced to do it.
And I'm forced to do it and just like choke it down. Now, you can skip through most of the tutorial, but it's still just a lot of button presses getting to the point where you finally unlock the options menu to change your controls to classic mode, right?
Man, what a pain, though. I mean, I get that they want to force you. I'm sure they put a lot of time and effort into the modern controls, and they're really like, try it. Don't hate on it.
Try it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at a
So
certain point, they
y-
should just, you know,
you
ease
know,
up.
right? And if I were new, if I had never played a Street Fighter game before in my life,
Hmm.
I wouldn't know
Hmm.
any better, right? And so I'd go in and I'd be learning the game anyway, and it would function perfectly acceptably as a.
Yeah, you wouldn't know any better.
I wouldn't know any
So
better, right? But the
yeah.
problem
Hmm.
is as we've established, I've been playing Street Fighter since I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. Um, but suffice it to say that the way that they basically everything defaults to modern controls. The combo trials, your online character selection, all of it defaults to modern controls, and you have to kind of go in and manually change everything to classic, and you'll think you'll done it, and then you'll start some mode, and it's like, wait, what's going on?
Ah.
Oh, damn it, it's in modern controls, and you got to go back and switch it back to
Oh my
classic controls.
gosh. Yeah.
So that's my biggest frustration. What I wish that they had done is done like first time you boot it up, go, hey, Street Fighter used to be played this way. We've got this new mode that's more accessible to people who have never played before. Which way do you want to go? Right? Like set your
And then
default preferences, and then boom, you
yeah,
select classic,
and
and
then
boop,
you're set.
right.
Yeah, and then you're set the rest of the time. Like this does a variable layer at the very top level of the game and never bugs you again.
Yep. And if
Yeah.
you're it's like, oh, you're new, and it's like, and they be really clear. The modern controls are designed for new players, make it more accessible, yada yada yada. You can even set the default to modern controls. Like when you get to which version do you want to use, and then default it to modern controls, and you have to press down to get to classic controls or whatever. But having that option for, because every professional player I watch on YouTube, Justin
Hmm.
Wong, by the way, he's actually really fun to watch. He's got his own
Yeah.
channel, and he's super fun to watch. So I've been watching
Yeah,
a
I've
lot of
watched him.
his hevideos.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. He definitely
Yeah,
is, and he also, I mean, he breaks it down in a very
yeah.
digestible way.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
he's really cool. He's like one of the better ones
yeah,
for Street
yeah.
Fighter.
Totally agree. So I really enjoy watching his videos, and he, generally speaking, unless he's doing a video about modern controls, he's always playing classic controls, right?
Hmm.
Like all
Yeah,
the pro players that I've seen videos of, they're always playing with classic controls. You just have more options with classic controls. Um,
yeah, and then you can also react to different things because that as I was playing it, I was wondering like okay, Street Fighter, as with all these kind of competitive games, there's always a tournament sector, the tournament culture to it. So that how's it being embraced right now? I haven't paid attention, but I'm wondering how like do veteran players get angry because somebody's playing modern controls because they don't have to do an input anymore. So the skill isn't there for that, but the skill is different because you're using it to react to something else and then hoping that everything else goes for you in a modern control setting. So is it fair or is it not fair? I don't know.
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of videos of modern versus classic controls, but what I have seen, if you're good, you're still good.
Hmm. Yeah.
Doesn't matter what kind of controls your opponent is using.
Okay.
Um, because at the end of the day, the frame data is the same. The
Hmm.
moves that they're doing are the same. Basically, the way I feel about modern controls, at least watching it, and again, I haven't spent much time with modern controls, but when I watch people play with modern controls, it almost feels like an AI assist mode.
Uh-huh. Yeah, or auto targeting if you're playing a shooter.
Right, exactly. So, um, someone like Justin Wong, well, they're good enough that it doesn't matter if you're AI assisted, right? I mean, they can beat the game on the highest level difficulty, and it doesn't, it's not a thing for them. I mean, it might be slightly harder for them to win, but it's not a game changer for someone who's really good at the game. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, at least what I've seen, Capcom has done a pretty good job of making it so that if you're good at the game, you're good at the game. Period. Right? It doesn't matter what control scheme you're using.
Hmm.
Someone who's better than you is going to beat you. That's it.
Hmm.
Unless you get lucky. But as someone who's like a scrub, I played against someone who beat me, and I was like, wow, they're really good. They're really good at this combos. And then it was like, oh, they're using modern controls. Oh, okay.
And then you felt a little bit
I
vindicated.
felt a little bit
Like,
vindicated.
oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. Yeah.
Never mind.
Because
You're
I'm.
okay. You might be okay, but I don't know for sure. You're
Yeah,
using
yeah.
that
To a
fancy
cer-
schmancy. modern control.
Yeah, exactly. To a certain extent, I'm hamstringing myself
Yeah.
because I'm going back to the classic controls, and in the classic controls, all of the combos have to be intentional, right? Like
Yeah.
combos are kind of free to a certain extent
Yeah.
in modern
Mm-hmm.
controls, whereas every combo you do in classic controls has to be intentional, right? They have to be earned and intentionally executed. So, and that's always where I've fallen short in Street Fighter is I can do the combo trials decently enough. I've never been able to complete all of them, but I can get pretty far in the combo trials. But that's a lab setting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing how to use them in an actual match is a far more complicated prospect, right? Hit confirming, and then once you've got that hit confirm, going into your combo, right? There's a lot of head games and a lot of mind games that you play in Street Fighter that I've never really gotten particularly good at for whatever reason. I mean, there's a million possible potential reasons. I've just never gotten particularly good at it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I still love Street Fighter despite myself. I love the visuals. I love the spectacle. I do love the mechanics, even though I've never mastered them. Um, but yeah, so by and large, best Street Fighter's been since 4. Modern controls, I have no feeling one way or the other towards modern controls because I didn't really use them that much.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want to take the time to learn them. But I don't like how aggressively the game tries to force you to use modern controls.
Yeah. Yeah. I could totally. Yeah. I could see that being annoying, just being forced down your throat to deal with it. Um, I'm curious, like, how is the story for each character now? I mean, so first of all, like I remember we were talking a couple days ago, and you were talking about how you didn't want to do verses. You're thinking like, I'm not gonna bother with. So you did dip your toe into it, and you did
Yeah,
it, and it
yeah.
sounds like it wasn't that bad.
No, it's
So
fun.
there's
I mean,
that.
like the classic arcade mode is exactly what you expect from Street Fighter. It's
Mhm.
matches and then a couple of bonus rounds, which are destroy a truck, um, parry basketballs, which is taken straight from Street Fighter 3.
Uh-huh.
Although the drive parry system is so much easier, the bonus game it almost feels like this is the thing that I'm still trying to integrate into my play style is the drive system, drive
Uh-huh.
parries, drive rushes, drive impacts, drive punishes, that kind of stuff. All of the normal mechanics are things that I've been using since again 10, and I really do love the drive system. But incorporating that into my play it's going to just take some work, right? I mean, like some of the longest strings that you'll see in YouTube videos are people drive rushing into, from one attack into another attack to keep a combo going, right? And they'll burn through their drive meter really fast. It's high risk, but like they'll do these really long strings, and do a ton of damage.
Yep.
But you don't even have to go that far. Like just using drive impacts and using the drive parry in and of itself, right? Like instead of blocking a fireball, drive parrying the fireball, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of work that into my repertoire. And it was the same way with focus attacks in Street Fighter 4, and I would assume the V trigger system in 5. I didn't really dive into 5 enough to really get a strong sense of it. But so that I think is one of my biggest hurdles right now is trying to integrate the drive system into my gameplay. That unlocks a lot of combo potential. That opens up a lot of potential there. Anyway.
It's funny, like, again, we both have origins with Street Fighter 2, you being 10, me being older, and I felt completely competent with Street Fighter 2. I was able to hold my own in arcades, all that kind of stuff. But then as soon as they introduced combos and the multi-hit combos on the side and like stacking up stuff, I just couldn't keep up with that. But which is weird, but which is kind of odd to me also is I like Killer Instinct just as much.
Mm-hmm.
And Killer Instinct to me was the first game really to introduce that whole combo like stacking things and get your numbers up. And then it seemed like that's when, and I could be completely wrong with the history here, but it feels like Killer Instinct is the one that took the idea of combos and really added steroids to it and did ultra combos, good combos. Like they're the ones that really stacked up these 3-hit, 4-hit, 20 hits, and then you have to sit there and just wait until the combo is done. And if you're not good enough, you're pretty much out of the match, you know. But that's just kind of funny. It's like I never adapted to Street Fighter 2, but yet I played Killer Instinct with TJ Thunder, for example. Love that character, and was able to do just fine with him for a long time. You know, I don't know. Did you ever play the Killer Instinct franchise? Did you ever play those games?
Yeah, I did. I loved Killer Instinct. Yeah, so you're right. Killer Instinct very much kind of started. I just checked because like the other game we were talking about is the Marvel vs. Capcom is very much combo spectacles.
Yeah,
that didn't come out until '88. Killer Instinct came out in '94 or '98. Killer Instinct came out in '94. So Killer Instinct beat it to the punch by several years. And I think Marvel versus or Street Fighter versus X-Men.
Well, I mean, at first X-Men came out, then they went with Street Fighter X-Men, I believe.
Yeah,
it was X-Men Children.
So Street Fighter versus X-Men was after Alpha, actually.
Okay. Then, I mean, and before that, there was X-Men Children of the Atom.
Yeah, no, X-Men versus Street Fighter is still 96, right? So the Killer Instinct beat all of them to the punch. So you're totally 100% correct that Killer Instinct kind of pioneered the combo spectacle fighter, right?
Yeah, but then, I still can't. I just never was able to translate that to Street Fighter. And even now, I can't do it. But Killer Instinct, if I play the first one, give me TJ Thunder and I'll make people mad and angry and because of my cheapness with TJ Thunder, for example. It's like weird.
The difference, and Killer Instinct is very similar to Marvel vs. Capcom in my memory. I haven't played either game in a long time, but they're much more dial-a-combo, right? As long as you get the inputs, medium attack, quarter circle back punch, like linker, blah 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 blah, right?
Yeah.
There was no real. As long as you got the timing right, there was just a simple rhythm that you got. The combo always worked, right? And so all you had to do is get the hit confirm, play the footsies, get the hit confirm, and then you're off to the races. Street Fighter is a lot more technical and more complicated. You can't do combos as freely as that, right? So it's you have to be a lot more aware of the frame data. Like Killer Instinct, you buffered all your combos in, right? So as long as you had to get the rhythm right, but as long as you weren't too slow or too fast for the combo rhythm, all the linkers, all the specials and finishers, you would buffer them up. Like you'd finish one move, and as one move was executing, you'd buffer into the next move, and it would execute.
Yep.
So you just didn't go too fast or too you didn't go too fast or too slow, and then you could go for and they had hard limits into the game, so you could only link twice into a finisher or something like that. It's been a long time since I've played Street Fighter, so some of this might be inaccurate, but so it was it was easier to do high spectacle combos in Killer Instinct than it was in the Street Fighter, and that's always been the case. It's easier to do high spectacle combos in Marvel vs. Capcom than it is in Street Fighter, right? Because those are much more, in my mind, spectacle fighters. Street Fighters and Street Fighter and King of Fighters and Tekken and those kind of games are very highly technical fighting games, right? And your mileage varies. And Guilty Gear and Blaze Blue and all of those games are highly technical fighters. And there's subtle differences. With Guilty Gear, it's all about the rush game, so it's a much more offensive game than Street Fighter is. Street Fighter is a lot more wait and see. You can be really reactive in Street Fighter and be super successful. Justin Wong is that kind of a reactive player. Whereas in Guilty Gear, you're rewarded for being highly offensive, right? But anyway, that's we're getting way into the weeds of fighting games now,
as we love to do on our stream.
So in the
very
weeds
familiar to me.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I loved Killer Instinct. I played the crap out of that game. And I don't know if you've ever played the Xbox reboot of the series. I thought it was.
I watched it and I admired it from afar, but I played Killer Instinct 1 and 2. and they were
Mm-hmm.
both in the arcades. And I played. Then I played Killer Instinct. I believe did it come out on Super Nintendo? Was that where it came out on?
Killer Instinct
Where
Gold
they
was on the N64. The original Killer Instinct was on the. They did a port on the SNES and the Game Boy, if you can believe it.
Oh, that's so crazy. So I played on SNES, but I never played Gold on N64, and
Mm-hmm.
I never played anything past Killer Instinct 2 in the arcade, where
Mm-hmm.
whichever one had Maya in it, which was the
Maya was
blonde.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. So whichever one that one was, that was the last one. But it was awesome too. But I wasn't very good at that one compared to number one. Um,
Yeah. The one thing that about two, for better or worse, because the thing is like in the first game, once you got really good at it, like once you started a combo, the other person just stood
had
there.
to wait.
Had to
Yeah,
wait
it's true.
because the combo breaker system was so difficult. Um,
Yep.
you basically every character had like it was a shuriken or quarter circle and a
Hmm.
punch or a kick. And
Yeah.
if my memory serves, it was basically a rock paper scissors. So if your opponent's next linker involved a medium punch, then you had to use a hard punch to break it. If they
Oh my
used a light
gosh.
punch, you had to use a medium punch, right? So it was a rock paper scissors. So you only had a 33% chance per attack to break the combo. So it was
Jeez.
super low, right? And you
Yeah.
had to be really, really. It was mostly a guessing game. But then in Killer Instinct 2, they changed the breaker system where it was. I didn't play 2 as much, so I don't remember. I apologize. I don't remember the specifics about how the breaker system worked in 2.
Mhm.
But basically, the ratio turned into like a 50-50. Right? It was
Okay.
either, I think, oh, that's right. I think it was either, if their combo was a punch, you had to do a kick input, and if their combo involved a kick, then you had to do a punch, right? So it was a 50-50 breaker, and so when you got to high level play in Killer Instinct 2, the combos weren't as cool because it was easier to break out of them, right?
Mhm.
And so, I mean, it was good from an actual play standpoint. It made the matches more interesting, but it lowered the spectacle a little bit, which, I don't know, I think hurt the game a little bit. Because if you
Mhm.
watch Killer Instinct 2 at high level play, and I don't really know how many people are played Killer Instinct 2 at high level, but the combos were way shorter. Because the longer you kept the combo going, the higher risk you had of your opponent breaking it, right? And
So
so,
the strategy is always just do enough damage to kind of chip away and
yeah,
win.
exactly. So it's like a starter linker, special finisher, right? Like, and then boom, that was
Oh.
it. Whereas like in Killer Instinct 1, you do a starter linker, attack linker,
And you
special
can keep
finisher, right? And
going.
you just
Yeah.
keep going and
Mhm.
going and going, right? If you knew the
Mhm.
chain. And so combos tended to be shorter in Killer Instinct 2 than they were in Killer Instinct 1.
And I could be remembering this thing correctly, but in Killer Instinct 1, at least with again TJ, I mean with what's his name? It was
Thunderhawk, yeah.
Thunder. Yeah, he was um you his linker was so forgiving
Yeah.
that you could really push a combo forever. And also on top of that, all of his attacks were charge based, so you just have to hold back. So you engage the animation, he attacks forward, you just hold back, and you push forward just enough after the animation's done, and you keep on going. And as long as you know the linker, you're set. It's such a
Yeah.
he was so cheap in that way, but he was fun too to just frustrate your friends and get them swearing at you. You know.
Jago is also really good. He had two
Hmm.
of the easiest linkers in the whole game that had like the tiger kick thing, which was like their version of the shuriken, and then the saber thing that he would swing around.
Uh,
Such easy linkers to connect into, and it was all just you basically just rolled the joystick, quarter circles back and forth,
Yeah.
right? And
yeah.
you'd do
Yeah.
that a couple of times, and then you do a shuriken to finish it off, and you could get like a 13-hit combo without even trying, right? I remember
Yeah.
I played some kid. I got really good at Killer Instinct, and I was just going through the arcade mode at some arcade, and some kid walked up, and a new challenger approaches. I'm like, okay, cool.
Uh,
And I got 2 double perfects in a row, and
oh, poor kid.
he didn't say anything. He just walked away.
Oh, I don't blame him.
It was like,
Man.
oh. So, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a really long aside to talk about how Street Fighter Evolution has come from, because it
Yeah.
kind of adopted some of that stuff and then sort of just made its own system. But I don't know if I consider it perfected or not. Like I said, I don't know. Like I said, like I stayed away from Street Fighter after 2 because of how intimidating it was. There's something about it that seemed more intimidating than it was in
It's
Killer Instinct.
extremely intimidating game, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of a wimp. I
Well,
need to
it's yeah. I mean,
kind of a bully, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. It's so much of it is just because it's so demanding from a technical standpoint, right? I mean, in Street
Hmm.
Fighter 4, there was a character called Rufus who was hilarious. He was this wildly fat
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, he's
Um,
great.
had like this you know the like a fighter jumper, or not a motor biker jumper, but it was like it was unzipped down to practically his crotch, and you got his pleasure
Yeah,
tray. I was like, oh my god, I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
believe.
He's
Anyway,
such a trash character,
he's
trash looking character.
yeah, but I mean,
But
like
that's what makes him so funny too.
yeah,
You know.
yeah, great looking character. But one of his bread and butter combos that like tournament players could do regularly involved a one frame link, right? What that
What?
means, right, is like you finish one move and you have a single frame to connect with your next move to continue the combo. And this was like one of his bread and butter combos. And um uh um and it was like it's so I was going somewhere with this and I sort of forgot where I was going like mid sentence, but it got so hard with some of the characters that it was just like okay, this is just ridiculous, right? Like,
I mean, the blanket idea that I was talking about was how intimidating the game it
and
got.
that's the
You know.
perfect example, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So now, admittedly, that not every character is like that. I mean, you
No.
know,
Yeah.
you can be competent with Ryu and Ken with basically your classic low medium kick Hadouken, right? I mean, like that's
Hmm.
an
Yep.
easy hit confirm cancel into a super and it's not too bad, right? Or Shuriken or whatever. You know, it's super easy with those characters to do 3 and 4 hit combos and just chip away at the damage. And so as long as you're not succumbing to throws or whatever, you can be
Hmm.
relatively competent in those characters. Um, but yeah, I mean, like when you get to high level play, though, it's just it's a whole different ball game, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely. The other thing that besides the intimidation factor, so for me, I don't know who your main was in Street Fighter 2, but for me it was I had a few of them, but my main was Dalsum, but I also use E Honda.
mm-hmm.
Ryu was my standard if I needed to use a Hadouken character, and Vega from the boss guys. But what happened was as Street Fighter evolved and it went to hyper, I don't know when they did this. I think it was hyper fighting, but then they changed up Dawson so much with that teleport
mm,
that it became a brand new character to me. And
mm,
like I was able to hold my own up until that point, but then I ran into players that were able to teleport. I never incorporated that into my game at all. It was all about managing the screen and going, okay, that guy stays over there. That's all you do. Well, teleport changes everything. Like now you have to go in close and you have to do like it changed. And ever since then, I fell out of Street Fighter because Dawson changed so much for me. I never found a character like that again for me to attach to the
mm-hmm.
same. I don't know how it is for you, but for me, that's what kind of changed my view of Street Fighter. I still love the game. I have a lot of nostalgia for it and sentimental feelings toward it, but it's so yeah, it's still gonna be there's that buffer, that kind of holds me at bay. It's like, do I want to
Yeah,
learn this character and have them change it up again on me? I don't know.
yeah.
But
I
it
mean,
was funny. Like
mm,
Ryu and Ken, they've stayed kind of. I mean, they've tweaked like the Dragon Punch and the Hadoukens for each of them, right? But they're still fundamentally the same character. If you learn them, you can still play them for the most part, right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah. So sorry,
mm-hmm.
I was interrupting
Yeah.
you on
No,
something.
no, no, no. I was literally going to say that they're very accessible characters and they've stayed relatively static over the years.
Hmm.
Ryu got a new move in Street Fighter 3 that's carried over. It wasn't in 4 actually, but it's back in 6. It may have been in 5, and I don't remember. Ken has a couple of new moves, but by and large, it's Hurricane Kick, Hadouken, Shuriken, and you've got all of your zone control. You've got everything just like right there, right?
Yeah.
They're great starter characters, super accessible. Anybody can play them, and if you're good with them, that you're good with them. Like, but if you're good with any character, you're good, right? So, and those characters have always remained relatively accessible. Dalsum I always found incredibly confusing. I never really because
Yeah.
his regular like to do normal attacks were all command normals. Like just hitting medium punch, he did one of his
Yeah,
limb
crazy.
extenders. But if you just wanted to do a regular attack, it had to be a command like back medium punch,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? And
Yeah.
so Dhalsim was always just I never been good with Dhalsim in any Street Fighter game. For me, Street Fighter 2, Ryu and Ken, obviously, they're just
Mm-hmm.
accessible characters. And
Mm-hmm.
then Cammy was another character that I played a lot as in Street Fighter 2.
Mm-hmm.
I liked her. She had some really good combos. She has gotten super difficult. Some of her like really good combos are really demanding in Street Fighter 6. I mean, they're hard, but if you can do them, it looks really cool.
So, would you say you're intimidated? Like, are you going through the same thing I did with Dawson, where you don't want to really play as Cammy anymore because of that?
I mean, like I do, but I also I like these two new characters, Manon and Lily, and I kind of like. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the process of learning these characters. I kind of just want to focus on them and not
Oh, so
kind of like.
you got a shiny new object to play with now.
Right, I've got
You
like a new
you got
toy
new
to play with,
characters.
yeah, and so I'm like,
Got it.
yeah, I'm sort
Yeah.
of focusing on them. But Cammy started getting kind of difficult for me, at least in Street Fighter 4.
Mm-hmm.
Some of her combos got really crazy, and the timing got really specific. Like one of her bread and butter combos is doing an air cannon spike into like a medium punch cancel into an EX or OD, I guess in this game, overdrive cannon spike into a spiral arrow. No, not cannon spike, a spiral arrow or whatever. Anyway, I'm forgetting the names of the moves, but I mean they're really the timing on them has to be really tight because and this has always been one of the challenges of Street Fighter is the timing of a link is different than the timing of a cancel. So you have to know when you're doing a combo
Uh,
whether it's a link combo or it's a chain or it's a cancel into a special move, right? So it's like from the standpoint of mastering all the specifics of it, it's way harder than something like Killer Instinct or Marvel vs. Capcom or Smash Brothers, for instance. Which
mm-hmm.
and this is, it's not a good or a negative. It's just it is what it is. Smash Brothers, because the mechanics are intentionally so much simpler, the focus is on other things, right? And this is why I never understood why pro players they don't want to use items or anything like that. Like when you turn off
Yeah,
items, when you turn off stage elements, I find Smash Brothers to be an unbelievably boring game to
yep,
watch, to play.
100% again. Yeah,
It's so boring, and I know that Masahiro Sakurai would agree because he
yeah, that's how he
said
designed
this
it.
in interviews, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he
I
includes tournament modes, he includes all of that stuff because the fan demand was so high. But he's always like, I don't understand why people want to play this way, right?
Yep. Yeah. Again, preaching to the choir here on this one. We're agreeing a lot tonight, but
Yeah,
that's fine too. We have plenty of the board to debate in future streams. But it's funny. Like I think the beauty of Smash Brothers is the chaos and the randomness of it. That's what
yeah,
makes it so fun, and also gives a chance for any new player to win in
yeah,
a sense.
absolutely.
So I think the beauty of the game is like no matter how good you are, there's always a chance you can still lose because whoever gets that one little smash object or whatever that does their thing and they get their ally, well, you can still use your skill, but you got some luck involved. And it's better polished than it is like when you're playing Mario Party, for example, which kind
Yeah,
of does that same thing. But Mario Party just feels like it's cheap. But in
yeah,
Smash Brothers, at least when I play it, I don't feel like it's cheap. It's just funny and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's good-hearted fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I've played against some tournament players, and they're still good. You turn stage element
yeah,
ons, you turn items on,
yeah.
they're still really
It's
good.
still good. Yeah.
Right. So it's just like
What's the
why
big deal?
I don't get it. I've never understood the obsession with tournament players wanting to take everything that's fun about Smash Brothers out of the game. It's like if you're gonna do that, play Street Fighter, play Guilty Gear, play Tekken.
Yep.
Like I don't.
Yeah.
Why are
Play
you
the games
playing
with
Smash
all the
Brothers?
rules. All the
Yeah.
rules you want. They're out there. But play Smash is the way it's meant to be played.
Right.
Like
Right. And so it's just
it is bizarre.
yeah.
I'm with you, man. Really
But
strange.
anyway, this is neither here nor there. But we have just gotten so far outside of. I like Street Fighter 6. Now we're getting into criticism of tournament players of Super Smash Brothers. For God's sake.
Yeah. Again, welcome to our stream. And also I think we're making up for lost time,
Oh my
and kind of
God, I
going all
know.
over the
We
place.
got to
So
go
it's kind
really
of fun.
fast. Yeah, we got a lot to ground to cover, and
Yeah. So it's all good. Um, but with that being said, I know that I think we're in a pretty good spot where I could wrap things up. But
alrighty. Yeah, I mean we've been going for a good 45 minutes here. I'd say that
yeah,
more than qualifies as a decent stream.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah, I've got her posed down for this particular scene. It's interesting. So I'll turn off the finished art
mhm,
here and turn on the old art. This is how I originally composed it. You
mhm,
know,
mhm.
now I've got the new art and I'm looking at it. Um, yeah, sorry, I keep grabbing everything. Hang on. I just don't know. I wonder if I wonder if I like this pose, like with what you see her whole body, versus having it kind of cut off at the bottom. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I like it with the whole body.
Okay.
I think the composition's a little bit cleaner. I think
Yeah, I
having
think so
her
too.
1 foot off of the screen feels
A little bit off-putting,
a
huh?
little off, right? Like
Yeah.
why
It's funny how
why
I didn't
yeah,
notice that.
it's a subtle thing, but yeah, having her other foot on the screen, I just think looks better.
Yeah. So I mean, I shrunk it down a little bit, but yeah, I think I'm gonna kind of do something like this. I mean, I don't mind cutting things off on the screen a little bit. I might do
No, to
that, but
preserve the
I don't
rule of
know.
thirds, but like
Yeah.
everything is sort of a balancing act, right? I think you can get her head in a good position on the frame, and still like you've got right there. It's fine that like the
Hmm.
very bottom of her foot is gone, but
Yeah.
cutting off the entirety of her foot, it looks a little bit weird.
Yeah. So there's some little thing, I mean, this is 85% done or so. I mean, I gotta fine tune her leg, and I'll do that. I'll do that off stream, whatever. But for the most part, I think I'm pretty happy with her for this pose and how
Mm-hmm.
quick it is. And yeah, success for our sort of return back to doing streaming.
Well,
So
hopefully, yeah. I mean, hopefully the everything we'll get back into more of a normal cadence as summer waxes on.
yeah, yeah, that's the
Um,
intention. So
oh,
as far as next week's concerned,
actually,
oh, you're out next Monday.
I have rehearsal for a show I'm doing tech for, and it's on Monday, and there's
Oh,
nothing I can do about it.
well, sometimes we'll do a stream off of our normal time and we'll just
we
post it.
might we
Maybe
might do that. I have nothing on Sunday, so maybe
yeah,
we'll
we'll
call it.
figure
We'll do the
something out.
stream on Sunday, but we'll
Yeah,
try to
so
get
we'll still
something
try to.
up at the normal time on Monday.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that sounds good.
all right,
We'll see what happens.
sounds like a plan. Okay, well we're gonna call in here, everybody. As always, you can check out CalamityJane.rocks. It'll take you to our Patreon site. Please consider joining us on this adventure and helping us make this cartoon a reality. You can also check us out on Twitter at Jane Salamander. We've not been particularly active on Twitter recently just because of life and all that crazy stuff. Um, but by Jove, we'll get back to it in the very near future. Otherwise, that's I think we've got all we've got, and we'll be back. We'll have something for Monday. It might not be live, but we'll have something for Monday next week. Otherwise, stay safe out there, everybody, and we'll see you soon. All
Good
righty.
night.
Good night.